How to find and fix the causes of your bad habits. In late 2012, I was sitting in an old apartment just a few blocks from Istanbul's most famous street. I was in the middle of the 4-day trip to Turkey and my guide Mike was relaxing in a worn-out armchair a few feet away. Mike wasn't really a guide, he was just a guy from Mem who had been living in Turkey for 5 years. But he offered to show me around while I was visiting the country, and I took him upon it. On this particular night, I had been invited to dinner with him and a handful of Turkish friends. There were 7 of us, and I was the only one who hadn't, at some point, smoked at least 1 pack of cigarettes per day. I asked one of the Turks how he got started. "Friends," he said. "It always starts with your friends. One friend smoke, then you try it." What was truly fascinating was that half of the people in the room had managed to quit smoking. Mike had been smoke-free for a few years at that point, and he saw up and down that he broke the habit because of the book called Alan Carl's Easy Way to Stop Smoking. "It frees you from the mental burden of smoking," he said. "It tells you, stop lying to yourself. You know you don't actually want to smoke. You know you don't really enjoy this. It helps you to feel like you are not the victim anymore. You start to realize that you don't need to smoke." I had never tried a cigarette, but I took a look at the book afterward out of curiosity. The author employs an interesting strategy to help smokers eliminate their cravings. He systematically reframes each cue associated with smoking and gives it a new meaning. He says things like, "You think you are quitting something, but you are not quitting anything because cigarettes do nothing for you. You think smoking is something you need to do to be social, but it is not. You can be social without smoking at all. You think smoking is about relieving stress, but it is not. Smoking does not relieve your nerves, it destroys them." Over and over, he repeats these phrases and others like them. "Get it clearly into your mind," he says. "You are losing nothing and you are making marvelous positive gains not only in health, energy and money, but also in confidence, self-respect, freedom, and most important of all, in the length and the quality of your future life." By the time you get to the end of the book, smoking seems like the most ridiculous things in the world to do. And if you no longer expect smoking to bring you any benefits, you have no reason to smoke it. It is an inversion of the second law of behavior change. Make it unattractive. Now, I know this idea might even sound simplistic. Just change your mind and you can quit smoking. But stick with me for a minute. Where cravings come from. Every behavior has a surface level craving and a deeper underlying motive. I often have a craving that goes something like this. I want to eat tacos. If you were to ask me why I want to eat tacos, I wouldn't say, because I need food to survive. But the truth is, somewhere deep down, I am motivated to eat tacos because I have to eat to survive. The underlying motive is to obtain food and water, even if the specific craving is for a taco. Some of our underlying motives include conserve energy, obtain food and water, find love and reproduce, connect and bond with others, win social acceptance and approval, reduce uncertainty, achieve status and prestige. A craving is just a specific manifestation of a deeper underlying motive. Your brain did not evolve with a desire to smoke cigarettes or check Instagram or play video games. At a deep level, you simply want to reduce uncertainty and relieve anxiety, to win social acceptance and approval, or to achieve status. Look at nearly any product that is habit-forming and you will see that it does not create, but rather latches on the underlying motives of human nature. Find love and reproduce using Tinder. Connect and bond with others, browsing Facebook. Win social acceptance and approval, post on Instagram. Reduce uncertainty, you search on Google. Achieve status and prestige, you play video games. Your habits are modern-day solution of ancient desires, new versions of old vices. The underlying motives behind human behavior remain the same. The specific habits we perform differ based on the period of history. Here is the powerful part. There are many different ways to address the same underlying motive. One person might learn to reduce stress by smoking a cigarette. Another person learns to ease their anxiety by going for a run. Your current habits are not necessarily the best to solve the problems you face. They are just the method you learn to use. Once you associate a solution with a problem you need to solve, you keep coming back to it. Habits are all about associations. These associations determine whether you predict a habit be worth repeating or not. As we covered in our discussion of the first law, your brain is continually absorbing information and noticing cues in the environment. Every time you perceive a cue, your brain learns a simulation and makes a prediction about what you do in the next moment. Cue. You notice that stove is hot. Prediction. If I touch it, I get burned, so I should avoid touching it. Cue. You see that the traffic light turned green. Prediction. If I step on the gas, I'll make it safely through the intersection and get closer to my destination, so I should take on the gas. You see a cue, categorize it based on the past experiences, and determine the appropriate response. This all happens in an instant, but it plays a crucial role in our habits because every action is preceded by a prediction. Life feels reactive, but it is actually predictive. All day long, you are making your best guesses on how to act given what you have just seen and what has worked for you in the past. You are endlessly predicting what will happen in the next moment. Our behavior is heavily dependent on these predictions. Put on another way, our behavior is heavily dependent on how we interpret the events that happen to us, not necessarily the objective reality of the events themselves. Two people can look at the same cigarette and one feels the urge to smoke, while the other is repulsed by the smell. The same cue can spark a good habit or a bad habit depending on our prediction. The cause of our habits is actually the prediction that precedes them. This prediction leads to feelings, which is how we typically describe a craving, a feeling, a desire, an urge. Feelings and emotion transform the cues we perceive and the prediction we make into a signal that we can apply. They help explain what we are currently sensing. For instance, whether or not you realize it, you are noticing how warm or cold you feel right now. If the temperature drops 1 degree, you probably wouldn't do anything. If the temperature drops 10 degrees, however, you will feel cold and put on another layer of clothing. Feeling cold has the signal that prompted you to act. You have been sensing the cues the entire time, but it is only when you predict what you would do better off in a different state that you take action. A craving is the sense that something is missing. It is the desire to change your internal state. When the temperature falls, there is a gap between what your body is currently sensing and what it wants to be sensing. This gap between your current state and your desired state provides a reason to act. Desire is the difference between where you are now and where you want to be in the future. Even the tiniest action is tinged with a motivation to feel differently than you do in the moment. When you eat or light up the browse social media, what you really want is not a potato chip or a cigarette or a bunch of likes. What you really want is to feel different. Our feelings and emotions tell us whether to hold steady in our current state or to make a change. They help us decide the best course of action. Neurologists have discovered that when emotions and feelings are impaired, we actually lose the ability to make decisions. We have no signal of what to pursue and what to avoid. As the neuroscientist Antonio Damasio explains, it is emotion that allows you to mark things as good, bad, or indifferent. To summarize, the specific cravings you feel and habits you perform are really an attempt to address your fundamental underlying motives. Wherever a habit successfully addresses a motive, you develop a craving to do it again. In time, you learn to predict that checking social media will help you feel loved than watching YouTube will allow you to forget your fears. Habits are attractive when we associate them with positive feelings, and we can use this insight to our advantage rather than to our detriment. How to reprogram your brain to enjoy hard habits. You can make hard habits more attractive if you learn to associate them with positive experience. Sometimes, all you need is a slight mindset shift. For instance, we often talk about everything we have to do in the given day. You have to wake up early for work, you have to make another sales call for your business, you have to cook dinner for your family. Now, imagine changing just one word. You don't have to, you get to. You get to wake up early for work, you get to make another sales call for your business, You get to cook dinner for your family. By simply changing one word, you shift the way you view each event. You transition from seeing these behaviors as burdens and turn them into opportunities. The key point is that both versions of reality are true. You have to do those things, and you also get to do them. We can find evidence for whatever mindset we choose. I once heard a story about a man who uses a wheelchair. When asked if it was difficult being confined, he responded, "I am not confined to my wheelchair, I am liberated by it. If it wasn't for my wheelchair, I would be bedbound and never be able to leave my house." This shift in perspective completely transformed how he lived each day. Reframing your habits to highlight their benefits rather than their drawbacks is a fast and lightweight way to reprogram your mind and to make habits seem more attractive. Exercise. Many people associate exercise with being a challenging task that drains energy and wears you down. You can just as easily view it as a way to develop skills and build you up. Instead of telling yourself, "I need to go run in the morning," say, "It's time to build endurance and get fast." Finances. Saving money is often associated with sacrifice. However, you can associate it with freedom rather than limitation if you realize one simple truth. Living below your current means increases your future means. The money you save this month increases your purchasing power next month. Meditation. Anyone who has tried meditation for more than 3 seconds knows how frustrating it can be when the next distraction inevitably pops you into the mind. You can transform frustration into delight when you realize that each interruption gives you a chance to practice returning to your breath. Distraction is a good thing because you need distraction to practice meditation. Pre-game jitters. Many people feel anxious before delivering a big presentation or competing in an important event. They experience quicker breathing, a faster heart rate, heightened arousal. If we interpret these feelings negatively, then we feel threatened and tense up. If we interpret these feelings positively, then we can respond with fluidity and grace. You can reframe "I am nervous" to "I am excited and I am getting an adrenaline rush to help me concentrate." The key to finding and fixing your causes of bad habits is to reframe the association you have about them. It is not easy, but you can reprogram your prediction. You can transform a hard habit into an attractive one. Chapter summary. The inversion of the second law of behavior change is to make it unattractive. Every behavior has a service level craving and a deeper underlying motive. The inversion of the second law of behavior change is to make it unattractive. Every behavior has a surface level craving and a deeper underlying motive. Your habits are modern day solution to ancient desires. The cause of your habits is actually the prediction that precedes them. The prediction leads to a feeling, highlighting the benefits of avoiding a bad habit to make it seem unattractive. Habits are attractive when we associate them with positive feelings and unattractive when we associate them with negative feelings. Create a motivation ritual by doing something you enjoy immediately before a difficult habit. End of chapter 10.